All right, Oval fans, here we go. We're going to review this week's episode, Season 2, Episode 2, entitled Natural Habitat. Now, yeah, this review is about 24 hours or maybe a day and a half later than expected. My bad. But we had a fun time doing a live stream about it. So just in case you missed out, typically I do my best to watch the Oval live on Tuesday nights, as well as live tweet during the episode while taking notes as well. And then after the episode's over, or sometimes around like 8:55 or the last couple minutes of the show, I'll turn on the YouTube live and we'll discuss the episode right after it happens. So then I'll do my, more formal review, which I'm doing now, and break down the trailer and then do discussion and other videos throughout the week. So in order to not miss out, go ahead and follow me on social media, which includes my Twitter. Those links are down in the description box below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up to show you like it. Let's try to get to 85 likes. Also hit subscribe. We are less than 30,000 people away from 200,000 subscribers. And also hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you're notified when I go live or post content. So 8.5 out of 10, another solid episode. Season 2 is off to a great start. We start the episode off with Gail asleep on the plane. And, we continue with Jason choking the life out of Maud. Big debate. I've been discussing it with people, on Twitter during the live stream and on Instagram. Some people speculate Maud is not dead. I beg to differ. I believe she is dead, not, choked to the point where she loses consciousness. I think she's legit dead. I mean, there were certain things that happened. Like I think the camera work kind of showed Maud's head going, just turning weirdly. She's dead, guys. She's dead. So the flight attendant comes up a few moments later because Jason's like, you were so mean. And she notes that Maud never falls asleep on the plane. Usually she's wide awake. She's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, my grandma must be very tired. So he asks a few questions. They're 3 hours away from DC by plane, and it's a 12-hour drive from where they are now, so he also asked certain things about, so didn't you say the emergency hatch was to be used in a case of emergency? The attendant's kind of like, reassuring him, you listen to my instructions carefully, but don't worry, everything's safe. And, I'm kind of noticing that, why did shouldn't there have been some red flags there? She just didn't notice because, how often, look, I've never been on a plane myself. I'll tell you right now. First of all, I don't know how the emergency hatches are. Are they in one specific part of the plane, or are they like at everybody's seat? All I know is I wouldn't want to be sitting next to one out of fear of mistakenly hitting it or something. Like, let's say I stand up to use the restroom and my head hits the damn thing. But then again, it looks like you need to pull it down. So I don't know. But in any case, we move over to Hunter and Donald. And Hunter's just, again, an asshole. Is like he's the one who caused a lot of the messes. I guess it's because he's used to it, being former mayor and governor. What did he tell Victoria? Like 4 years as mayor, 8 years as governor. He was used to having people like Max. And Victoria even said these people would cover things up because Hunter was just a careless. That was it. He'd sleep around, do whatever he wanted, while all these other people had to rush to clean things up. So now we're in a situation where he's continuing the same lifestyle despite being in the most powerful position in the free world, meaning that not everything you do is going to be covered up with the same level of scrutiny and efficiency due to the fact that you're working with individuals who you aren't used to being around. So Hunter's just chewing out Donald, and, he tells Donald to put Kyle on speakerphone immediately, even though Donald reassured him that Kyle is going to be here soon. So as soon as he said, put him on speaker, and Donald called, I knew Kyle was going to say something he shouldn't. But as soon as he answered the phone, hello, lover. Kyle, I got you on speaker and I'm in the Oval with the president. Sorry. Must have been a mistake. So basically, he's right around the corner. Turns out, Max is alive. Kyle was using some armor piercing rounds, despite the fact that, he was wearing a bulletproof vest, so they would have worked. But remember, the doctor said he was wearing like a metal plate underneath the bulletproof vest. and some of the bullets didn't pierce him at all, but some of the metal shards kind of did from the plate. So Hunter's like, if you all don't clean this up, if I go down, you're going down with me. Max is at St. Rose Hospital, and after Kyle leaves to take care of it, because I think Hunter said like, hey, when it comes to this case, everything you need to do, your focus needs to be on Max and square this away right now. So after he leaves, Donald pours Hunter a drink. And he's like, bourbon or whiskey or scotch? I'll take both. So we go over to Richard and Nancy. Richard's at the table. I thought he was working on some bills or something like that. And Nancy brings him a plate of his favorite food and he throws it to the floor. I thought that was a bit petty because I don't really like Nancy, but she is doing right by her husband. And yes, I know she cheated, but at the same time, he's still recovering from being shot. He needs to keep his strength up. So he tells her to sit down because it turns out, and somebody pointed this out during the live, and I really appreciate this, Richard is doing what Brad's doing. As soon as he found out about an affair, Alex, on If Loving You Is Wrong, he sat down, went over all the calendars and everything and found, whether or not, he was the father or Randall. But in this case, Richard was looking through, Piggy's birthday, which is in September. So the conception, he was conceived in either December or January. And here are all the letters you sent me while I was away. I used to send you letters once every week, but then there were 3 weeks of no letter. And it turns out there was a point where I believe Nancy was at Richard's mother's house for some dinner, and Richard's brother had stopped by and we talked, and he's doing much better and he looks good. And just seeing him made me miss you even more, probably because, him and the brother might kind of share facial features and whatnot. So, yeah, the brother stopped. Oh, I'm sorry. He's like, you slept with my brother. He's Piggy's father. So I knew something was off because when I got back from the war, my brother couldn't look me in the eyes. He couldn't look me in the face. So from there, he's like, you know what? I can't wait to get back to work. Frida's one of the staff members at the White House. Richard. It's like, she's flirted with me for years, but I've always said no. Richard, you're not this kind of man. I am now. Get out. Get out. So then Nancy leaves. All right. So we go over to Victoria in the kitchen and Sam comes in and apparently she had called for him. Priscilla had left for the day. Kyle just keeps it, close to the chest about what happened in, her room earlier that day. And, he pretty much lays it down like, hey, the thing that happened with us earlier, it can't happen. It can't happen again. So from there, with Yuma being dead and Max in the hospital, Sam is offered the job. I think like the head of her security detail. So basically, he's like, I need to think about it. And that's pretty much the scene in itself because, Sam, it's not just the fact, it's him and Victoria one-on-one, but he's just, trying to wrap his mind around like, well, these people on my team, they're dead or shot. I ain't even know about it. So then we go to Jason on the plane again. He's just sitting there in silence. Gail wakes up and she mentions how, we can use Gene as soon as she said Gene, I'm like, Lord, trigger word. Don't say the word around Jason. She pretty much thinks that Jean can be utilized via blackmail in order to get them back to the White House in order to keep her job. So for everyone saying that, even though Gail is still a brat, it did seem like there was 1 or 2 scenes where she did kind of feel like opening up to Jean, like maybe they could become friends. But based off this scene, I doubt it. She's nothing but a little maid who needs her job because of her pitiful apartment. So that's all Gail looks at Jean towards. So as she keeps saying, no, I'll call. There's a phone on here and, we can do this. And Jason pretty much, she's not going to do it. Trust me. It's like, fine, I'll just sit over here and think of another plan. Because from there, he kind of snaps on her. It's like, look, you're the one who got us into this mess. Like, what are you talking about? And he's absolutely right. She's the one for the emancipation and whatnot. He was just jacking off at the table at brunch when he shouldn't have been. So that begs the question, if he didn't do that, there might have been a chance that he wouldn't have been on the trip with her, but you never know. So even Gail's like, she's quiet. referencing Maud, and because she must be a hard sleeper and she's dead. All right, so then we go over to Ellie and Alan. Alan steps in, because Ellie's phones are going on off just over and over again, and he suspects some sort of affair between her and Hunter, but she says, no, that's not it. So she takes one of the phone calls and it's about the affair. And she's like, no, I have the proof. It didn't happen. But, the person on the phone is like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you're right. The truth doesn't really matter, because we just live in a day where headlines matter more than the facts. So she was talking with somebody, Jeffrey, and I'm thinking to myself, no, not Jeffrey Harrington, but I definitely thought Jeffrey Harrington. But Donald walks in. It looks like, Ellie was about to make the move on Alan. And I was like, no. So Donald walks in and tells Alan to go home. And he pretty much confronts Ellie, patronizes her. And when she tries to, stand up for herself, he's like, no, I'm your boss. Remember that. So after that, after a brief back and forth, very good dialogue. I mean, I feel some people don't really like Donald this season, saying that he's more cutthroat and rude as compared to season 1. But when you really think about it, a majority of his scenes outside of Lily had to do with him and Kyle's, closeted romance. That's pretty much it. So I kind of like this kind of cutesy, goofy. When I say cutesy, I mean, like, Hunter said, are you being cute, Donald? This kind of goofy to the point character. I don't mind it at all. So he's pretty much like, look, do you want me to help you, or do you want to drown? Make a choice. And it's like, well, fine, but no help from Diane. No. See, you don't have a choice in this. So Ellie ends up leaving. And then, from there, he calls Diane. And I think, he was really patronizing her in regards to all you are good at is being a rich person's wife. That's all you are. But Ellie's like, I got a degree. Well, that don't mean anything, because the person who had this job before you, oh, she was good, cutthroat and everything. So Donald calls Diane, asks to help clean up the mess that she caused at the conference. But, he begs, he pleads, but says Ellie can't do it, but she refuses because she's not stupid. So Alan comes back in, and it turns out him and Ellie have been dating for 2 years, and they live together. Donald's like, it doesn't really matter. So pretty much, Alan really brings this up to just ask, look, if there were, is there an affair going on between her and the president? Alan, if there was anybody who would know about that kind of thing, it would be me. All right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, go home. All right. So then Alan leaves. Okay, then we go over to the cabin. Lily's ready with the gun, because remember, Bobby said have the gun fired at whoever comes into the door that isn't him. But it comes to Max being brought in on Bobby's shoulders. He puts him into the bed, and he's helping Max with the wounds because he's bleeding out. And remember, he used to be one of those guys, a secret agent and whatnot, or Secret Service. Not to mention, after what Lily put him through last season, shooting him multiple times. He probably knows how to treat a gun wound. So after that, there's a video chat with Diane. Bobby knows that they're tracking her. And what you need to do is park at such and such. There's a station wagon at this location. So you drive that when you come up here to meet us. So Diane's going to come up to the cabin later. We see that in the preview for next week. We go over to Sam and Kyle. We got Sam asking Kyle about what's been going on with Max and Yuma, and Kyle's like, I just heard, sir. Remember, Kyle was the one that did it. And even though he's the head of the department, Sam wasn't told about this, and he's like, fine, well, I'll check on their wives to let them know what's going on. So after that, Kyle just leaves. Turns out that what's his name, Detective Jake Shields, goes to see Barry, and he's like, what are you doing back in here, boy? Ruth pressed charges and she's gone. So basically, he'll call Sharon for help, and the detective gives him the phone, and the $100,000 isn't hers, but we know it's Ruth's. But I'll do a separate video because it makes no sense, but I'll get to that later. So essentially, Kareem's in the back. Yeah, that's right, because Sharon was working at the front of the store. Kareem was working in the back. So just remember that. All right, so Priscilla is at the house, like freaking waiting to exhale, just throwing all of Sam's stuff out, or piling up on the floor, just tearing stuff apart. And then when she took out that cigarette, I was done. So Nancy comes in, and she had nowhere else to go. and she calls out Priscilla because she asks what's wrong. So it's like, Priscilla, you're always there for everyone else, but you're not wanting to talk about your own personal stuff. So she brings up the fact that, with everything going on, Richard isn't paying for Picky's funeral. He can't be buried. And, hey, is there any way I could borrow the money for the funeral? And once Richard, I know he's out of his head right now, but once he gets straight, I'll talk to him to pay you back. And I'm like, oh, sheesh. So basically, it's $8,000. So she's writing a check. Like, you know what? No, 20,000. No, 25. Nancy's like, wait, what do you, well, no. Don't you need to ask Sam? Oh, this is coming out of his personal account. And I'm like, wait, what? So she's like, take this check, but, get cash. Don't cash the check. What she said, like, take the check, don't deposit at the bank, get the cash. Then after that, do what you need at the funeral. And if there's anything left, go to a hotel, go to a spa. You deserve it. It's like, oh, thank you so much. And I'm like, I felt so many ways about this. From the fact that Nancy just assumed that Richard would pay back Priscilla and Sam. I mean, remember, this is before she found out this was coming out of Sam's personal account. It's kind of like you would put Richard in that situation because it's like, oh, well, Priscilla and Sam have already paid for the funeral, so we have to pay him back somehow, meaning that he would do it, not you. And then instead of just taking the $8,000 minimum, it's one thing. You could argue, well, Jeremy, Nancy kept saying, wait, no, that's too much. It's like, no, this is your son, $20,000 and 25. So, yeah, I didn't like that. Nancy should have just taken the $8,000. Honestly, shouldn't have taken any of it, but just the minimum needed for the funeral. That's all. But, it is what it is, because Priscilla is just, sorry, a lot of police going up the street now. I don't know what's going. It's 11:57. The only thing open right now would be CVS and Kroger for the next 3 minutes. And I think Sheetz is 24/7. So I don't know what's going on, but I just know I'm indoors. All right. So then we got Ellie and Victoria. What is it? I think Victoria goes into Ellie's office, say, hey, forget about the phones. Come with me so we can talk. But we also get another brief scene before we get to the end of the episode. It's Kyle at the hospital talking with the same doctor that Diane was talking to, and apparently, he was there to move Max, but we all know what that meant. And the doctor's like, oh no, he's gone. Somebody from the White House named Diane removed him. So then Kyle calls Donald to tell him what happened, and then it's like, you know what, fine, take care of Max, kill Max, but then Diane, I want her brought to me alive. Wow. So we got Ellie and Victoria sitting down, and Victoria's like, so what's your plan? And then Victoria pretty much cuts her off, saying like, look, I know what kind of woman you are. I know what kind of person you are. You aren't cut out for this. What you need to do is pack your things up and go home, because even though I didn't like her, Diane, she was cutthroat, and she was the queen of spinning stories that would have destroyed previous administrations. So, Ellie's like, so what if I don't go? We pretty much get not a threat, but the promise of being chopped up and delivered to her mother. But Hunter walks in right as things are getting rough, and Ellie's asked to leave. Victoria's like, hey, you know what? I'll call my dad. He'll take care of this. Maybe even you as well. And as soon as that's over, they get up and leave, and Victoria smells something, and she goes into Jason's room and then falls to the floor after finding Jean's body. And before she finds the body, she calls housekeeping because she smells something. And she then finds the body. So after that, we finally get the last scene where Jason opens up the emergency hatch, and then you can hear, Gail screaming Jason, and that's the end of the episode. So I thought this was a solid episode. Like I said, 8.5 out of 10. I've already done the trailer breakdown video, so keep your eyes on the channel. I'll be doing other videos throughout the week, but let me know what your thoughts of the episodes were. And with that being said, if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.